Canada's main center-left political party, the New Democratic Party, which is similar to the European, especially Western European social democratic parties, is about to elect its new leader. Ever since the October 2015 Canadian federal parliamentary election, where the New Democrats lost over half of their seats and at the same time the status of official opposition, while the Liberals jumped from third place to first place under their new leader Justin Trudeau, the leadership of Thomas Mulcair in the New Democratic Party had been open to question. Mulcair decided to resign, but he of course is still nominally or officially the leader until his successor is elected. This Sunday on October the 1st, 2017 at 2 p.m., probably Eastern Daylight Time, voting for the first ballot ends. And then results will be announced in Toronto, Ontario at the Westin Harbour Castle Metropolitan Ballroom from 2 to 4 p.m. And anyway, the voting is preferential. In other words, the delegates can indicate also their second, third, and fourth preferences. There are 4 candidates: Charlie Angus, Nikki Ashton, Guy Caron, and Jagmeet Singh. Rounds of voting will take place through a preferential ranked choice ballot, taking place once a week until a candidate hits the 50% plus 1 mark to be declared leader, with eligible voters choosing to vote with an internet ballot being allowed to change their vote at any time before the closure of the polls, including between each round of balloting. And should no candidate out of these 4 candidates receive over 50% of the vote on the first round, the second round will then take place on October the 8th, 2018, or voting for the second ballot will then end. Results will be announced in Montreal, Quebec, at the Palais des Congrès de Montréal from 2 to 4 p.m. if required. And if even the second round will not produce an outright winner, then there will be a third round of voting which will end on October the 15th, 2017 at 2 p.m. Results will be announced in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada's capital, at the Shaw Centre, Ottawa Salon from 2 to 4 p.m. if required. Charlie Angus is 54 years old, has been the Member of Parliament, that is Member of the House of Commons, Canada's lower and directly elected House of Federal Parliament for Timmins James Bay since 2004, and was elected the New Democratic Party's caucus or parliamentary group chair in January 2016. He has published 7 books and worked as a journalist, a roofer, and a dishwasher earlier in life. Before entering politics, Angus belonged to the Toronto punk band L'Étranger with Andrew Cash and Peter Duffin. He stepped down as caucus chair and Indigenous Affairs critic in November 2016 to consider a leadership bid. He formally became a leadership candidate in late February 2017. 2 members of parliament have endorsed him, 8 provincial politicians have endorsed him, 7 municipal politicians have endorsed him, 15 former members of the House of Commons have endorsed him, as well as 8 former provincial politicians and 10 other prominent individuals, and 2 trade unions and other organizations. He has emphasized job security, the high cost of post-secondary that is after high school education, meaning college, seminary, and university in Canada, and Indigenous issues, meaning issues concerning the Native Canadians. So various Aboriginal tribes who traditionally have been called Indians, and then Inuit tribes who used to be called Eskimos, and of course Métis people who are descendants of European immigrants, mostly French-speaking ones, and Aboriginals. Angus cannot speak French as fluently as some of the other candidates, but is still said to have a good basis in the language. Nikki Ashton is 35 years old and the MP for Churchill Kiiwetinoong Aski since 2015. Previously, she served as the Member of Parliament for Churchill from 2008 to 2015. She has served as the New Democratic Party's critic of the Liberal Federal Government of Canada for Jobs, Employment and Workforce Development critic, as the Shadow Minister for Status of Women and Aboriginal Affairs. She placed 7th in the 2012 NDP leadership race. She is the daughter of former Manitoba New Democratic member of the Legislative Assembly, Steve Ashton, who served as a minister in the cabinets of Gary Dewar and Greg Selinger. She formally launched her campaign in early March 2017. She has been endorsed by 5 members of the Canadian Parliament, by 4, or House of Commons, 4 provincial politicians, 5 municipal politicians, 6 former members of the House of Commons, 1 former provincial politician, and 4 other prominent individuals, as well as 3 trade unions and other organizations. She wants to create and maintain good-paying jobs for young people, or well-paying jobs for young people and working Canadians, and tackle the threat of climate change. She is committed to providing tuition-free post-secondary education. She advocates combating the unequal distribution of wealth, the loss of value-added jobs, the foreign ownership and trade deals that, in her opinion, are selling Canadians out. Guy Caron is 49 years old and has served as the member of the House of Commons for Rimouski, Nejet, Témiscouata, Les Basques since 2011. He has been the NDP finance critic, the Quebec caucus chair, the shadow minister for natural resources, and shadow minister for industry. He resigned as the NDP finance critic and Quebec caucus chair in February 2017 to prepare to enter the leadership contest. He announced his candidacy in the last week of February 2017. He has been endorsed by 8 New Democratic members of the House of Commons, by 2 former NDP provincial politicians, by 1 NDP municipal politician, by 9 former MPs, by 8 former provincial politicians, by 4 other prominent individuals, and by 1 trade union or other organization. Then Jagmeet Singh is 38 years old. He is the Ontario member of the provincial parliament for Bramalea-Gore Malton since 2011. He was the deputy leader of the Ontario New Democratic Party from 2015 until he entered the federal leadership contest in mid-May 2017. He was previously the federal NDP candidate in Bramalea-Gore Malton in 2011. He is of Sikh origin. The Sikhs are a Southern Asian ethnic group who live, for example, in the Indian subcontinent and, of course, in various other parts of the world as immigrants and children of immigrants. He has been endorsed by 11 New Democratic members of the House of Commons, 19 provincial politicians, 11 municipal politicians, 1 former MP, 3 former provincial politicians, 6 other prominent individuals, and 3 trade unions and other organizations. The Toronto Star newspaper has also officially endorsed him. If elected, Singh would be the first visible minority person to lead a major federal party as well as the first of the Sikh religion. Visible minorities in Canada are those who are easily distinguishable from the white Euro-Canadian majority by their skin color or other physical features. Mainly they mean immigrants of Asian or children of immigrants of African or Asian origin. The four core focuses of Singh's campaign are inequality, climate change, reconciliation with indigenous people, and electoral reform. He also has said that he would like to end the war on drugs by pursuing the Portuguese model of decriminalizing personal possession of all narcotics and instead promoting harm reduction for users. So those are the four candidates. Then, according to the opinion polls, Mr. Singh is favored to win the election, however, not with an outright majority, according to the recent opinion polls. And according to the most recent opinion polls, Mr. Angus would come second, Ms. Ashton would come third, and then Mr. Caron would come fourth.